There's this hidden problem lurking inside our schools. And it's not what you think. It's not about funding or textbooks. It's something much deeper. An invisible force that stifles innovation and really holds everyone back. In this explainer, we're going to pull back the curtain and take a hard look at it. So what is this invisible force exactly? Well, it's the strange dynamic that can turn trusted colleagues into quiet competitors. It takes vibrant classrooms and turns them into these lonely, isolated islands. It basically works against the very thing a school is supposed to be, a community. We all have this ideal picture of a school, right? A place of shared purpose where everyone is a team working toward one goal. But the reality, as the source material for this explainer shows us, is often very different. It's a reality of professional isolation, where teachers, without even meaning to, are building walls instead of bridges. All right, let's get right into our first section and actually put a name to this problem. It's a phenomenon that's known as the silo syndrome. So what is the silo syndrome? It's basically what happens when teamwork and collaboration completely fall apart. The best way to think about it is like a rowing team where everyone is paddling in a different direction. You've got all these individuals working hard, but in total isolation, sometimes even competing against each other, and they're completely disconnected from the shared mission of moving the boat forward. And a huge red flag for this is something called parallel teaching. Just picture this. You've got two fourth-grade teachers in classrooms right next door to each other. They're both teaching fractions, but they never once share a lesson plan, compare notes on what's working, or strategize together. They are working in parallel, sure, but they are not working in partnership. This whole syndrome often gets reinforced by what's called a monopoly system. This is what happens when a handful of influential teachers end up controlling the key resources and decisions. Maybe they hoard the best lesson plans or they resist new teaching methods from younger colleagues. They're protecting their status, and whether they mean to or not, they end up blocking progress for everybody else. So you have to wonder, what's driving all of this? Well, the source material points to one really powerful emotion: teacher insecurity. I mean, with the constant pressure from high-stakes testing, sudden policy changes, and new technology, teachers can feel like their professional self-worth is constantly under attack. And that insecurity, it can lead to defensiveness and, you guessed it, territoriality. So if insecurity is the spark, what's the fuel that keeps this whole fire burning? Let's take a look at the structural and cultural things that really feed this dysfunction. It turns out there's a perfect recipe for creating silos. First, you start with a total lack of structured time for teachers to actually collaborate. That immediately forces a mine, not ours mentality. Then, you add in some unclear administrative roles and a constant competition for scarce resources. And there you have it. You've successfully turned colleagues into rivals. Now, this isn't just some staff room drama. No way. The consequences of this isolation are incredibly serious, and they really do affect everyone. But at the end of the day, who pays the biggest price for this dysfunction? It's the students. When teachers don't collaborate, learning becomes a total lottery. A student's experience can be fantastic in one classroom and completely different right next door. And let's say one teacher discovers a brilliant new way to teach a tough concept. Well, that idea stays locked in their room. Best practices never spread. This leads to stagnant teaching methods and, you guessed it, widening achievement gaps between classrooms. And the cost to teachers is just immense. Professional isolation is a top predictor of burnout, feeling unsupported, being under constant pressure, and having no one to share your frustrations with. It drives talented educators right out of the profession. Now, this has been an issue for a long time, but a bunch of modern challenges have made solving it more urgent than ever. Just look at the world we're in. We're in a post-pandemic era, trying to address huge learning gaps. That takes intense coordination, not isolation. As AI and new technologies flood into the classroom, a team-based approach is absolutely essential to figure it all out. And as we rightly focus more and more on teacher well-being, creating a supportive, collaborative culture is a direct line to improving retention. The old way of doing things just won't work anymore. So, okay, the problem is clear, the stakes are super high. But here's the good news. There are clear, actionable ways to start breaking down these walls. The solution is really a three-pronged attack. You have to tackle the problem from the top down and from the inside out. We need systemic changes. We need fundamental shifts in the school's culture, and we need decisive administrative action. So what does this actually look like in practice? Well, systemically, leaders have to mandate protected planning time where teachers can actually work together.
Culturally, schools have to actively celebrate and reward sharing, shift the focus from individual stars to the success of the whole team. And administratively, leaders need to be totally transparent and equitable about how resources are divvied up, breaking up any of those informal monopolies.
Ultimately, the real goal here is a fundamental shift in mindset. It's about moving away from a scarcity model, where success is seen as a limited pie that you have to hoard, to an abundance model, where you believe that shared knowledge and collaboration actually make the whole pie bigger for everyone, teachers and students alike. And this leaves us with a really critical question, one for every single teacher, administrator, parent, and student to ask themselves. Is your school building silos, or is it building bridges? Because in the end, it all comes down to this. And this quote from Ken Blanchard just says it perfectly. No one of us is as smart as all of us. The collective intelligence of a truly collaborative team, that is the most powerful resource any school can possibly have.